Hello friends. Today, I am going to explain a psychological demonic horror movie. The Free Fall was released in 2022. Its director is Adam Stillwell. This movie got a 4.6 out of 10 IMDb rating. Let's get started. The concept of exorcism in this movie is shown quite differently, so I hope you will definitely like this video. At the beginning of the film, we see a girl named Sara, who was talking to her sister Julie. She invites Julie to the anniversary of her parents. But Julie refuses to come to the celebration because her relation was not good with his parents. Now Julie asks her to go and take flowers for mom and dad from her house because she was not going to go there. The scene changes and we see Sara, who came to her mom and dad's house. And when she goes inside, she does not find anyone. Then she goes to the second floor where she sees her mother in the bedroom. And seeing her, her senses flew away because her mother was stabbing her dad continuously. Seeing this, Sara's condition worsens. After this, her mother also commits suicide by slitting her throat. And this is the introduction of this movie. Now the story moves forward a few months later, when Sara is at her parents' house and we see her husband Nick. In fact, Sara did not remember any of her old things. Her memory was completely erased. She didn't even remember her name. Nick tells her that he found Sara in the bathtub, where she attempted suicide. Nick apologizes to her because he was not with her during her bad times. But Nick assures her that he will take care of her all the time. Now it's night, and Sara wakes up. She feels someone's presence in her room, after which she goes there and starts checking, where she sees her parents who are in demonic form. But all this was a nightmare for Sara. When she opens her eyes, Nick is near her. He gives her a pill, which the doctor prescribed for her. The next day Sara sees Nick talking to a lady, after which she gets a call from someone on the telephone. Sara picks up the call where a girl on the other side was speaking. But just then Nick comes there. Taking the phone from Sara, scolds the girl and hangs up the call. Now in the next scene, Sara and Nick are in the kitchen, where Sara asks Nick about her parents and her sister. In fact, Sara knew a little bit about her family, but she did not know that her parents were dead. Nick now tells Sara about the death of her parents. He says that her parents died last October, after which Sara asks about her sister. Nick tells that her sister is not trustworthy at all, and her sister is also responsible for the death of her parents. Nick tells her to forget the old things and start a new one. Now in the next scene, Sara is sleeping, and when she wakes up, she sees the same woman again. On asking Sara, Nick tells her that that woman is her caretaker Rose, and Nick hired Rose for her. Now we see Sara taking a bath. She then looks at the door, which she starts opening. But then there, her caretaker Rose comes and stops her, because it was forbidden for Sara to go to the third floor, because Sara had attempted suicide earlier, and she did not want Sara to do this again. Now here Sara asks Rose about the clock, but Rose categorically denies her that there is no clock here. So she tells her that she heard the sound of the clock many times. Rose tells her that maybe she will have a hallucination. Then we see Nick, with whom Sara comes and asks him about the bathtub. She asks him if he said, "I met you in a bathtub," but there is no bathtub in this house. Nick tells her that he got it removed, so Sara's bad memory does not come back. In fact, Nick did not want her old memories to come back at any cost. Now Sara wakes up again in the night, where she goes to the lavatory. Now in the lavatory, she finds herself in a bathtub where she was cutting her hand, after which she wakes up. Now she sees her sister and someone else in front of her. But we see this also happens to be in her dream. But when Sara looks through the window, she sees the same two people, whom Nick was asking to leave. When Nick comes, she asks about them. Nick tells her that she was her sister Julie, and Nick doesn't like Julie at all. Nick wanted Sara not to have any relationship with Julie. Now Sara and Nick are together in the night and he talks to her very nicely. Sara says why not make a new memory and start a new life. Nick says that he will be very happy with that. After sleeping at night, Sara again dreams about Julie. When Sara wakes up, Nick tells her that he is going to have a small dinner party here, where his friends will also come, and after their arrival, you will feel a little better. Then we see Sara doing the gardening, but just then Rose comes there and she tries to help her. But Rose starts talking to her in a strange way. Seeing her behavior, Sara leaves from there. Comes to Nick, where Nick was typing something on a typewriter. Sara tells him about Rose's behavior. Here Nick starts talking to her a little rudely. Because of this, Sara slaps him. In the night, Sara wakes up again and goes downstairs, where she realizes the presence of someone. Just then Nick comes over there and they both start getting intimate there. Sara had blood on her hand, which Nick completely ignores. In the next scene, Sara hears a door knock. When she opens the door, she finds a man named Tom. the one who says that he is her sister's friend, and he has come here to help her. He is giving her a key, and tells her that the voices she hears will free her from here. Now as soon as she puts her hand forward to take that key, only then Nick comes there. At the same time, Tom also disappears. Sara tells Nick about Tom. Then Nick tells her that this is all her illusion. Nick again entangles her in his talk, and he also gives her a red dress. He tells her to wear this dress for tomorrow night's dinner party. In the next scene, Sara again gets a nightmare, where she sees her dad and mom. And in the same nightmare, she also sees her sister. Sara is in a storeroom, and there she sees a photograph of her family. There she finds a book, from which she gets a key, which she picks up. She again sees Tom, who was pressing her throat and saying, "You know who you are." Just then, Nick wakes her up, and we can see that this also happens to be her nightmare. Nick calms her down, and here Sara sees key on the floor and picks it up, after which she was again in the garden with Rose. Here Rose again starts talking to her in a sarcastic manner, and in the meantime, she starts saying bad things about Nick too. Hearing this, Sara expels her from work. After she leaves, Sara sees a plant. Unrooting it, she sees someone's intestine along with the root. Due to this, she gets scared and some black thing starts coming out of her mouth. But after a while, it all disappears. After which she goes to take a bath. She tells Nick everything, but Nick tells her that he checked the garden, but there is nothing there. Now Sara gets ready for the party, and Nick gives her a pill. When Sara comes down, everyone is looking at her, because she was looking gorgeous in a red dress. Introduces Nick to his friends. Rose is also there. Actually, Rose did the decoration and the rest of the work there. Now Sara was not at all happy seeing Rose here. They all sit at the dining table where there is pork in the dish. Here Nick starts comparing pork with human meat, and starts talking about cannibalism. We are able to notice here that the people sitting there are laughing in some strange way. Meanwhile, Sara often sees Tom there, which is telling her something about that key. Then Rose gives Sara a drink, and she also puts a pill inside this drink. Nick also sees all this, but he does not react. The man sitting next to Sara starts touching her strangely. Despite Sara's refusal, he does not stop. So Sara stabs him with folk in his hand. People sitting there also see all these incidents. But after seeing this, they start laughing. Then Nick starts dancing with Sara. So much happened here, Nick did not react, and neither did the guests. One thing is clear from this: there is definitely something wrong. In the middle of the dance, we see that all of them were trying to drink Sara's blood together. Meanwhile, Sara sees her mother's spirit, and Nick is with her, who was wearing a pig mask. After this, we see Sara in a bathtub full of blood. Then Nick tells her that she has finally completed the last step, stabbing the man sitting there. Actually, here Nick is a devil, and all the guests there were demons. Those people wanted Sara to commit sin so Sara would become like them. That is, he was possessing Sara's body. The dream in which she sees her parents is actually the spirit of her mother and father, which was imprisoned by Nick. Even Sara's mom and dad had been killed by Nick, that is, by the devil. By possessing her mother in the starting scene, it was the devil who had killed them. After that, Nick means that the devil possessed Sara. Sara escapes from Nick and goes to the room and closes the door. Just then Tom comes over there and puts the holy cross on Nick's head, after which he asked Sara to run away with the key. Here Tom is none other than a bishop, that is, a priest. Sara takes the key and goes to the same door where Rose had forbidden her to go. Now here we come to know that Sara was in a demon dimension for so many days. It means she was inside a house built inside her own mind, which no one else but devil had shown her. And that door was the way to the real world. Sara opens it and starts moving towards the light, but there she finds a lot of demons inside the tunnel. Avoiding it, she moves on. Now here it was about Sara's willpower, and moving forward, she reaches inside a library. There she sees Nick, and he was trapping her. Tom was also present outside the window asking her to come down. Nick was complicating Sara in his talk, and he was convincing her to stay with him. But then Sara remembers the old things, when Sara's mother took her own life by killing her father. Now Sara comes to know that her mom did not do it intentionally. Rather, all this was done by Nick to her. After this, Tom puts holy water on Nick, due to which his face starts burning. Meanwhile, Sara jumps out of the window. Now we see Tom and Julie. They were doing an exorcism on her, meaning that the world which was in the story so far, here everything was Nick's creation. Actually, all these are happening inside the demon world. In reality, Tom and Julie were doing an exorcism on Sara. Tom is now here to ask Devil to free Sara, and Devil leaves her body. Now Sara also comes in a completely real dimension. Here the exorcism of the father becomes successful. But after a while, Tom warns Sara and Julie that both of them should be careful, because it's not all over yet. After this, Father Tom leaves Sara with Julie. But here we notice one thing: Julie's behavior had become strange. She says that from now on such a mistake will not happen again. Now the behavior of Julie seemed to be similar to that of the devil, that is, Nick. This means that now the devil has possessed Julie. After this, the movie ends. If you like the explanation, please subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching.